Picture this, you're caught in the fiery crucible of a high-stakes moment. Maybe it's a make-or-break job interview, where your entire career trajectory hinges on the next few exchanges, a colossal sales pitch that could catapult your quarter into the stratosphere, or even just a heated, emotionally charged argument with your closest buddy over something seemingly trivial, like where to grab dinner. You've got something crucial to say, something monumental, something that could swing the entire situation in your favor. But before you can even articulate your brilliant thought, before you can truly launch your offensive, you suddenly find yourself on the ropes, reeling, completely disoriented. They're dictating the flow, effortlessly steering the conversation into uncharted hostile territory, throwing curveballs that you never saw coming, rapid-fire objections that leave you stunned. And what are you doing? You're just reacting, scrambling desperately to keep up, your mind a chaotic blur, looking precisely like a terrified deer caught in the blinding headlights of a monstrous Mack truck bearing down on you at 90 miles an hour. Your palms are slick with sweat, your heart is pounding a frantic rhythm against your ribs, your mind's racing at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and deep down in the pit of your stomach you viscerally know you've utterly lost control. You're not just floundering, you're flat out drowning in their current, gasping for air. Sound painfully familiar? We've all been there, trapped in that suffocating feeling. And let me tell you, it's a gut punch that leaves a lasting bitter sting. I've personally walked away from countless talks like that, deals that were tantalizingly close, blown right out of my hands, golden opportunities that evaporated into thin air, leaving nothing but regret, or just feeling like I got played for an absolute fool, thoroughly manipulated. That, my friend, is the true devastating cost of letting someone else run the show, of meekly relinquishing the steering wheel of the conversation. You don't merely lose the argument, you don't just fumble the conversation, you tragically lose the ultimate outcome. Your unwavering confidence takes a brutal hit, your sharp edge dulls, and your fundamental power, your very essence of influence, slowly erodes with every wasted, misdirected word. The residual feeling, a profound sense of helplessness and self-reproach. But here's the unvarnished truth. The game-changing revelation: it doesn't have to be that way. Not ever again. What if I told you there's a definitive, battle-tested way to decisively flip the script, to walk into any conversation, no matter how intimidating the stakes, and instantly transform it into your personal, perfectly orchestrated chessboard? Imagine this. Every single word you choose to utter, every subtle nonverbal cue you project, every calculated move you make is meticulously planned and executed to get you exactly where you want to go, to achieve your precise objective. That's precisely what framing is. My friend, the sophisticated, subtle, yet incredibly potent art of controlling the entire game, dictating its rhythm and direction from the very first second you open your mouth. It's not about resorting to brute force, talking louder or faster, or trying to dominate with sheer volume or aggression. It's about strategically setting the stage, so impeccably crafting the narrative so compellingly that they are subtly, almost imperceptibly, compelled to play by your rules, on your terms, within your meticulously constructed reality. I'm not here to feed you fluffy corporate jargon or theoretical nonsense. This isn't some academic exercise. This is a visceral, battle-tested skill that has profoundly and irrevocably changed my life, enabled me to close monumental, multi-million-dollar deals against seemingly impossible odds, and consistently, repeatedly turned absolute chaos into undeniable, resounding victory. And rest assured, it's about to fundamentally, dramatically change yours too, if you commit to mastering it. So stick with me, pay close, unwavering attention, and ask yourself this profound question. What if you could turn every casual chat, every tense negotiation, every critical interaction into an inevitable, crushing checkmate? Get ready, because I'm about to reveal the secrets, to show you precisely how to stop reacting like a helpless pawn and definitively start owning every damn conversation you have, every single time, without exception. Why framing is your undeniable secret weapon? The psychology of control. All right, let's cut through the noise, bypass the fluff, and get straight to the core truth. Framing isn't just some fancy buzzword thrown around in business seminars or self-help books. It's the embodiment of pure, raw, undeniable power. It is the absolute defining difference between being a passive passenger in a conversation, merely along for the ride, tossed about by every conversational current, and being the one firmly, confidently behind the steering wheel, expertly navigating and steering it exactly where you want it to go with surgical precision. Framing is precisely how you meticulously set the psychological stage, how you subtly but effectively twist perceptions, and how you skillfully, almost imperceptibly, make people see the world, the situation, or the entire argument through your carefully constructed lens, often without them even consciously registering what's happening. They simply accept your reality as their own. Think about the true heavy hitters, the titans of influence, the masters of persuasion, guys like Steve Jobs, who possessed an uncanny ability to sell an entire revolutionary vision, an abstract concept, in 10 perfectly chosen, emotionally resonant words, transforming skeptics into fervent disciples. Or consider a slick, seasoned trial lawyer who can effortlessly flip an entire courtroom, swaying a jury and judge with one killer, precisely timed line, redefining the entire narrative of a case. They don't merely talk, they don't just present facts, they meticulously frame. They don't just present ideas or information, they construct an entire compelling reality. They make you buy into their version of the truth, their specific interpretation of events, and suddenly, almost inexplicably, you find yourself nodding along, captivated, eating out of their hand, utterly convinced their perspective is your own, and the only logical one. That's the game, the intricate dance of influence. And it's not magic, it's a potent, sophisticated blend of deep psychological understanding, astute strategic foresight, and just the right amount of unshakable swagger. I've seen it in action countless times, witnessed its transformative power firsthand, and I've lived it in the high-pressure trenches of the financial world. Back in my cutthroat Wall Street days, I personally watched a single, precisely worded sentence delivered with absolute conviction turn a dead-end deal, one that was completely DOA and destined for the scrap heap, into a cool, eye-watering $1 million. A high-profile client, a true whale, was literally walking away, his mind made up, ready to unequivocally say no to a promising stock pitch. He was already halfway out the door. One guy at the table, a real pro, a master of his craft, calmly, decisively reframed it. He didn't argue, he didn't plead, he simply stated, "This isn't about a stock, it's about securing your family's future." Boom. The entire emotional and psychological landscape of the room shifted instantaneously. The client wasn't thinking about market risk, quarterly reports, or fluctuating stock prices anymore. His focus instantly snapped to something far more fundamental and powerful. His legacy, about protecting his loved ones, about building generational wealth that would last. That's the undeniable power of framing. Setting the terms of the discussion, subtly but firmly controlling the emotional vibe, and anchoring their deepest desires, their most fundamental values, to your proposed reality. It's not about out-talking someone with a dizzying barrage of words. It's about profoundly outsmarting them with strategic clarity and profound emotional resonance. And here's the absolute best part, the true revelation. You don't need to be a born loudmouth, an inherently smooth talker, or some certified genius with an off-the-charts IQ to pull this off. It's an eminently learnable skill, a methodical process that anyone, and I mean anyone, with the dedication to practice can master. And once you do, once you integrate it into your communication arsenal, it's truly like acquiring a genuine superpower. You'll walk into any room, be it a cutthroat boardroom filled with sharks, a bustling, noisy bar, or even a tense, emotionally charged family dinner, and you won't just be present, you will unequivocally own it. You will command the space, the attention, and the direction. Framing is your undisputed ticket to running the show, to being the undisputed architect of every outcome you desire, and I'm about to break down exactly how to make this ultimate weapon, this life-altering skill, irrevocably yours. Framing pitfalls, what to ruthlessly avoid to maintain control. Listen up. Because even the wolf, even I, have taken a few brutal, humbling punches in the unforgiving, often brutal ring of conversation. Framing is an incredible superpower, a devastatingly effective tool, but it's not a clumsy sledgehammer. You have to wield it with surgical precision, with an almost artistic finesse, or you'll crash and burn spectacularly, leaving a trail of self-inflicted wreckage and lost opportunities. I've seen the best, the absolute masters of influence, slip up, make critical errors, and yeah, I've stepped in it myself more times than I care to admit, especially in my early days. So let me spare you the painful bruises, the stinging regrets, and the costly mistakes with some hard-earned, unvarnished lessons gleaned from years in the trenches. These are the insidious traps, the hidden landmines that will turn your perfectly crafted frame into an embarrassing flop, a public failure. And I'm going to hand you the exact actionable fixes to keep you perpetually sharp, impeccably slick, and absolutely consistently in control. The first and arguably biggest mistake, the one that annihilates momentum and credibility faster than anything else, coming on too strong, too aggressively, too forcefully. You're pumped, adrenaline coursing, you're genuinely ready to dominate, you've got your winning strategy locked in, but if you bulldoze into the conversation like a desperate, overzealous used car salesman on a caffeine-fueled rampage, you're done, finished. People instinctively smell desperation, forced selling, and overt aggression a mile away, and it instantly, irrevocably kills your credibility, your trustworthiness. I learned this painful lesson the hard way back in my formative Wall Street days. I was pitching a hotshot client, a real whale, a prospect who could change my year, and I was laying on the charm thick, way too thick. I was throwing out anchors, trying to establish dominance, setting the tone with an almost suffocating intensity, but I was pushing so hard, so overtly, that he visibly, physically started to pull back, to recoil. His eyes glazed over with skepticism, and I could practically hear him thinking, this guy's full of it. What's he really trying to manipulate me into buying? What's the hidden agenda? I almost lost the entire multi-million-dollar deal, nearly saw it slip through my fingers, because I was more bulldozer than astute strategist, more clumsy aggressor than subtle architect of influence. The fix, a foundational, often overlooked principle: dial it back and truly listen, genuinely listen, not just waiting for your turn to talk, but actively absorbing their words, their tone, their underlying concerns. Let them talk, give them space, nod empathetically, show them you authentically get their perspective, that you value their input, then with surgical precision, subtly slide your frame in. It's like the gentle art of judo, using their momentum, their expressed concerns to your advantage. Try something with profound empathy, but underlying direction, like, I hear you perfectly. I understand you're genuinely worried about potential risk in this volatile market. Let's talk then about precisely how we can transform that perceived risk into guaranteed reward, into robust security. You're still confidently leading, you're still meticulously controlling the direction, but they feel heard, validated, respected, not utterly steamrolled. This builds immediate, invaluable rapport and trust, making them far more receptive and open to embracing your framed reality. The next trap, a truly deadly and insidious one, letting the frame crack under pressure, allowing it to fracture. You've meticulously set the stage, you're rolling along smoothly, the conversation is unfolding beautifully on your terms, exactly as planned, but then unexpectedly they throw a curveball, a challenging pointed question, a deeply rooted objection, or some completely random, irrelevant tangent, and you instinctively, habitually start reacting defensively instead of resolutely leading with your established frame. Suddenly you're completely off your game, thrown off balance, scrambling to chase their lead, forced to play in their unpredictable playground, defending their point instead of advancing your own. I've been there countless times, right in the critical middle of a make-or-break pitch, when a client suddenly interjects with, "What about this other stock I heard about on some obscure podcast last night?" And in my unprepared state, I start foolishly yammering on about that, losing my primary focus, letting my meticulously constructed, carefully maintained frame utterly crumble. Big, colossal mistake. The frame, once established, is unequivocally yours to hold, yours to protect with vigilant tenacity, not theirs to effortlessly break. The definitive solution: pause, take a deep, steady breath, and elegantly, firmly redirect. This isn't about being rude or dismissive. It's about being laser focused on your objective. Try this killer line, delivered with calm authority. That's an interesting point you brought up, and we can definitely circle back to it if time allows, but right now, let's keep our eyes squarely on what's genuinely going to get you the win here, what's going to achieve your ultimate goal, or even more powerfully, hit them with a tactical question that instantly puts them back on your track, forcing them to consider your frame. Is that really the core issue we need to address to move forward? Or are we truly talking about your much bigger long-term aspirations and goals? You're instantly, effortlessly back in the driver's seat, re-establishing your authority, and they don't even consciously realize they just lost the conversational wheel. Another killer, often tragically overlooked by amateurs, ignoring their emotions, their underlying feelings. People aren't cold. Calculating robots devoid of feeling. They're a volatile, complex, beautiful mess of emotions, anxieties, fears, and aspirations. And if you steamroll their genuine concerns, if you dismiss their emotional state as irrelevant, you're utterly toast, plain and simple. You'll lose them. I once had a client who was visibly, palpably pissed about recent market volatility, his frustration almost radiating from him. And in my youthful arrogance, I initially brushed it off with a barrage of dry, impersonal stats and charts, hoping to overwhelm him with data. Wrong, utterly wrong move. He didn't want cold, logical numbers. He wanted to feel understood, validated in his frustration. I barely saved that deal by pivoting hard, by acknowledging his emotional state first. I completely get it. I understand the market's been a wild, unpredictable roller coaster lately, and that's understandably scary, anxiety-inducing for anyone. But that's precisely why we're focusing on these specific, carefully vetted plays that are designed to protect your downside, to minimize your risk while still allowing you to win big, to achieve your financial objectives. Acknowledge their vibe, connect with them emotionally, empathize genuinely, then artfully, skillfully guide that emotional energy back to your frame, to your desired outcome. It's like the graceful art of judo. Use their energy, their momentum. Don't foolishly fight against it head on. The last, but by no means least critical. Trap not staying relentlessly sharp, perpetually prepared. Framing's not a static tool. It's a dynamic muscle, a finely tuned instrument that requires constant calibration and practice. And if you're not consistently on point, maybe you're tired, genuinely distracted, perhaps overly confident, or just plain winging it without proper preparation, your frame will wobble, then it will inevitably collapse under pressure. I've walked into crucial meetings, deals worth millions, half-cocked, thinking I could coast on raw charm, on past successes, or sheer willpower, only to watch the entire conversation slip away like fine sand through my fingers, irretrievably lost. The definitive fix, prep like a seasoned professional every single time. Without exception, know your precise, unequivocal goal. Know their emotional buttons. Understand their deepest motivations. Anticipate their likely objections. And walk into that room absolutely ready to confidently steer the ship. If you feel the frame slipping, if you sense you're losing traction, if the conversation is veering off course, don't panic or give up. Instead, pause, take a mental reset, and deliberately, calmly pull it back. Let's take a step back for a moment. What's the real fundamental outcome we're trying to achieve here together? That's your indispensable lifeline, your anchor, to pull it back from the brink of conversational chaos. These pitfalls are undeniably real. They are pervasive in every interaction, but crucially, they are entirely, absolutely avoidable with conscious effort and practice. Listen more than you speak. Don't just dominate with noise. Redirect firmly and elegantly. Don't just react passively to external stimuli. Feel their pulse, connect with their emotions. Don't coldly ignore them. And always, always stay sharp, prepared, and intensely present. Get this right. Truly internalize these hard-won lessons. Integrate them into your communication style, and you're not just framing, you're genuinely untouchable, unassailable. Screw it up, ignore these warnings, and you're just another loudmouth, another amateur in a world full of them. Let's make damn sure you're the former, not the latter. Take control now. Your imperative next move. All right, we've arrived at the finish line, and I'm not letting you walk away from this, not one single step, without a raging, unquenchable fire ignited in your gut. You've now been armed with the ultimate tools, provided with the comprehensive playbook, handed the entire damn Wolf of Wall Street arsenal, empowering you to absolutely dominate and meticulously control any conversation that comes your way. Framing isn't just some clever parlor trick or a fleeting transient tactic. It's your undisputed ace in the hole, the definitive non-negotiable key to profoundly flipping your entire life from a state of constant reactive struggle to one of proactive, undeniable dominance and effortless influence. Whether it's a high-pressure, make-or-break boardroom pitch, an intimidating first date with someone who truly captivates you, or even a tense, emotionally charged showdown with your notoriously stubborn uncle at Thanksgiving dinner, you now possess the profound knowledge, the strategic blueprint of how to set the tone, precisely define the terms of engagement, expertly anchor their reality to your compelling vision, and flawlessly guide the entire dialogue like a seasoned, masterful pro. This isn't abstract theory, something confined to dusty academic text. This is pure, raw, tangible power, and it's now firmly, irrevocably in your hands, ready to be unleashed upon the world. Let's quickly recap, one last time, why this matters so profoundly. Why this skill is not just beneficial, but absolutely fundamentally essential for anyone who seeks true influence. Every single conversation you engage in, from the mundane to the monumental, is fundamentally a chessboard, a strategic battlefield, and most people, they're tragically just pawns, constantly reacting to external stimuli, blindly following where they're led by others, and inevitably consistently losing valuable ground. But you're the king, the strategic mastermind, moving with deliberate purpose, setting the intricate stage and meticulously steering the outcome exactly as you intend towards your desired victory. I've personally used the art of framing to turn a resounding no into an emphatic, enthusiastic yes, to close monumental, multi-million-dollar deals that seem destined for utter failure, to take chaotic, unpredictable situations and effortlessly, gracefully make them my personal playground, my arena of triumph. Remember that high-profile client who was literally packing up his briefcase, ready to walk away forever? I didn't beg, I framed his decision not as a mere stock purchase, but as his undeniable shot at genuine greatness, his path to securing his family's lasting legacy, and he signed on the dotted line with trembling, eager hands. That wasn't luck, that was pure, unadulterated strategy, applied with precision. And now that same strategic power, that same unparalleled ability to influence, persuade, and lead is undeniably yours to command. Here's my direct, unequivocal challenge to you. Starting right now in your very next conversation, consciously, deliberately set the frame. It truly doesn't matter if it's a seemingly insignificant transaction like ordering your morning coffee, a quick, casual chat with a colleague at work, or a deeply personal, emotionally vulnerable heart-to-heart with a loved one. Walk in, set the tone with unwavering, rock-solid confidence, clearly, concisely define what the conversation is really about. Anchor their mindset to your desired reality, and then steadfastly, relentlessly keep it on your chosen track. Try it. Say you're at a bar, and your friend is relentlessly whining, complaining incessantly about their miserable job, drowning in negativity. Don't just passively nod and offer empty commiseration, frame it decisively. Okay, I hear you perfectly. I understand you're genuinely frustrated, but let's stop dwelling on the problems. Let's pivot and talk about what you really want. True freedom, genuine success, a thrilling, fulfilling new path. What's your definitive, actionable next move to make that happen? Starting today. Watch intently how quickly and dramatically you shift the entire vibe, how the energy in the room instantly transforms. You'll feel the electrifying, addictive rush of absolute control, and they'll instinctively, almost unconsciously, follow your lead without even fully knowing why. This is practical. It's applicable right now in your very next interaction, and it's going to fundamentally, irrevocably change how you move through the world, how you interact with others, how you lead, how you succeed. You're not just merely talking anymore. You're actively, powerfully shaping reality. Every word you choose to utter becomes a calculated, strategic move. Every single conversation transforms into an unmissable chance to win, to achieve your objectives. Start small, intentionally build that muscle through consistent practice, and soon you'll be framing like a seasoned, intuitive master, effortlessly turning skeptics into devoted believers, transforming seemingly insurmountable obstacles into unprecedented, lucrative opportunities. You've been handed the ultimate tools, the master key. The only lingering question, the only thing holding you back is this: what in the hell is stopping you from immediately using them to seize control of your life? I'll leave you with some final unyielding wolf wisdom. Forged in the fires of countless intense negotiations and hard-won triumphs in the brutal, unforgiving game of conversation, the one who frames wins. Period. End of discussion. You're not here to play small, to react to others' whims, or to passively follow their lead. You're here to lead, to command attention, to effortlessly own the damn room, to dictate the terms, to achieve your will. So go out there, set the frame with unwavering authority, and make every single word count. Make it resonate, make it powerful. The world is waiting, eagerly anticipating for you to step up and take absolute, unequivocal control. Don't you dare let it down. Now get to it.